This video is to help you with some rhythms that you're going to see in Delia. So we'll be working on reading music at school, and this video isn't meant to teach you how to read music, but it will just help give you some reminders for rhythms that you'll see and help you understand some different things that are in your music. So first up, the very first note in Delia is something called a pickup note. So for the rest of the song, since we're in 3/4 time, there will be 3 beats in each measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. But you'll notice that you have one note at the very beginning of the song that is just on its own. There's one note, we have a measure line, and then we start our new measure with 3 beats. That's called a pickup note. So whenever you see an incomplete measure at the beginning of a piece, that's a pickup. So all that means is that we only have the 3rd beat in that measure. The other 2 are missing from the beginning. So how I'll start this song is by counting 1, 2, and then we play our pickup. So it would be 1, 2, play. That's how it would work. You'll also see that there is kind of a down arrow, kind of a caret shape above that pickup note. That is the symbol for playing up bow. So on that pickup note, you're also going to play an up bow. Then on the note that comes next, the first full measure, that's your first down bow. So how it would look at the very beginning would be, I would give us 2 beats, 1, 2, up bow, down bow, and then we've reached our first full measure. So now you can see here that you have a dotted half note. Okay, that's the 2nd note in this song. So a half note would just mean that there is a stem and there's the note head, and it would be empty. The note head is not colored in. That's a half note, and that's worth 2 beats. But you'll notice that there is a dot next to the half note. That adds 1 more beat. Okay, this is probably the most important rhythm that you'll need to know for the rest of Delia, because it shows up over and over and over again. When you see a half note, so an empty note with a dot after it, that's 3 full beats, so it takes up the entire measure. So I would play the note and then hold it for 3 full beats. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, and then we move on to the next measure. Now, in measure 2, the 2nd full measure, you see a half note without the dot. So that's just worth 2 beats. And now we've made it to a squiggly line. You'll see a squiggly line in the 2nd measure. That is 1 beat of rest. Okay, so it's just 1 beat of silence. Now, I'll start from the very beginning, and I'll sing what that rhythm would sound like from the pickup note. 1, 2, bum, 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 rest. Right? Now, the note that you'll see next looks like a half note, but the note is colored in. That is a quarter note, so that's just worth 1 beat. And since it's only worth 1 beat, and we have 3 beats in the measure, you'll see 3 quarter notes in measure 3. And in the measure after that, you see 2 quarter notes, and then we have another quarter note rest. So if I'm starting on measure 3, it would sound like this. Bum, 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 rest. Now, those are the note values that you'll need to know until further down the page. I'm looking way down at measure 31. You'll see a half note, which you've seen before, and then you'll see 2 notes with the centers colored in, and you'll also notice that there is a flag connecting those 2 notes. Those are called 1/8 notes. So when you split a quarter note in half, you get 2 1/8 notes. They're each worth half a beat. So they're going to move twice as fast as a quarter note. You can fit 2 1/8 notes into the space of 1 beat. So if you're looking at measure 31, you'll see a half note and then 2 1/8 notes. So it'd sound like this. 1, 2, 3, and. Okay, so it'd be 2 beats, 1, 2, 3, and. Now, some other things that we need to talk about besides the note values that we just talked about are some different types of rests that you'll see. We've already talked about the quarter note rest, which is the squiggly line. Now take a look back at rehearsal A. If it's not marked in your part, it's measure 18. Now you'll see just a colored in box in the middle of your staff. in the music, you'll see a colored in block. That is one measure of rest. So instead of just one single beat of rest, you're going to rest for a full 3 beats. At measure 19, you'll see another one of those. So all that means is that you're going to sit out for 2 measures, and then we come back and we're playing again. If you look at measure 26, you'll see a block, a colored in block written in your music, and a 2 written above it. What that's telling you is that, once again, you're going to rest for a full 2 measures. Okay, so they're both the same amount of rest, they're just written in 2 different ways. Now, you'll also see some accidentals. So accidentals are different alterations that we make to notes. They're symbols that we put next to notes that change the notes. So if you see a natural sign, it means that is negating or removing whichever accidental was applying to the note before. So, like, for example, if you're putting second finger on the A string and you're putting your finger on the tape, that is C sharp. But if you see a natural sign, that's telling you that we're taking away the sharp, so that bumps your finger down so that it's below the tape. So instead of your second and third fingers being close, this is C sharp, we took away the sharp because there's a natural sign, and now my second finger has bumped back, and now it's below the tape, and it's right next to my first finger instead. Same thing with F sharp. If we're putting second finger on the D string, F sharp is next to third finger. Second finger would be on the tape. But if I have a natural sign next to F, then we've taken away the sharp, and now my second finger is low, and it's right next to first finger. So you'll see some F naturals in here, you'll see some C naturals. That just means low second finger. Now you'll also see a tiny letter B next to a couple notes, and that is a flat sign. Okay, that's the symbol for flat, and that lowers a note. So it might sound the same as a natural, but it's different. A natural can take away any accidental, but a flat lowers a note. We can talk about this more at school, but for now, just know that you will see some B flats in here. So if we're on the A string and we put down first finger, that is the note B. Now, if there's a flat sign next to it, that means you're going to lower your first finger. So instead of landing on the tape, your first finger is going to be below the tape. So it's going to be closer to the scroll. Lowering our fingers means we're moving our hand further away from our face. Raising the finger means moving toward our face. Now, the last thing that you should be aware of is the last chord. So the last 2 measures, you'll notice that 2 notes are written on top of each other. You do not need to play both of them. This is a choose your own adventure. So the top note is C natural. So that's low second finger on the A string. The bottom note is E. So that's first finger on the tape on the D string. So you can pick one or the other. We'll decide how we want to split up groups in school. But just know that you can practice either one. You could play the top note, C natural, or you could play the bottom note, E, on the D string. You'll also notice that there is what looks like a slur over the top of those last 2 measures, and that's called a tie, because we're holding that note not just for 3 beats, but we're holding it for the entire next measure too, and we're not changing any notes. So we're just tying those 2 measures together, so you do not need to change bow directions. For the last 2 measures, we're just holding the same note, whether you pick C natural or E, for a full 6 beats. And I hope that helps. That's kind of a crash course on the rhythms in Delia.